Hello, beautiful, and welcome to Cultivating Inner Beauty. Today, I want to talk to you about the difference between being kind versus being nice when it comes to our hair. So, first, let me tell you the inspiration behind it all. I was looking in the word and I couldn't find any scripture where it was talking about being nice, but I found a lot of scripture where it talked about being kind. So then I looked into the two words and I saw there was a big difference. When you're kind, it's doing the right thing in spite of how you feel. That's your direction to move on. So it's showing more empathy, even when things are difficult. And this requires action, this requires discipline. Now, when a person is nice, this is pretty surface level. They show that they're polite and they're agreeable, following the rules, but deep down, they're not really addressing the issue. They're just moving with the flow and just being agreeable with everything. And so then it took me down a rabbit hole even further. I started to ask myself, like, where have I been kind and versus being nice to people? And how also have I been doing this to my hair as well? And so I want to share these quick 4 points with you. And you let me know in the comments which one you can relate to. So the first one is avoiding what your hair needs. So an example of this is that your hair is very long as you blow out your hair and you know it's time for a trim. However, you decide not to trim your hair. You could go to a hairstylist, you could do it yourself, but you avoid it all because you want to keep your length. Another example of this is that your hair is very moisturized, but you know that all the products that you're using, it's building a buildup on your scalp. But you decide to ignore getting your hair clarified with some clarifying shampoo because you rather keep moisture in your hair. This is a great example of being nice to your hair. Being nice, you're looking in this example, this is looking for that temporary result, and eventually it's going to go into long-term damage because you're not addressing the issue. You're just looking at what you have in the moment. And being kind, when it comes to this example, is being disciplined. A lot of people, they have set schedule when it comes to having trims, even to clarifying their hair. I know for me, I like to clarify my hair at least once a month, and this helps me have like a good reset when it comes to my scalp. Point number two is people pleasing hair routines. So with this, you could overuse heat to achieve a certain look for a hairstyle. It's not really like best for your hair, but you do this in order to achieve that look. Another example is forcing products that's not for your hair type. I know, especially for me, in the beginning when I was natural, I was a college student. I don't remember what products I used, but I remember I would apply it to my hair uh, to make my hair like curly, which really it was coming out of that relaxed state to natural. And so I would just use these products and it basically was just sitting on my hair. And I was trying to fit in with everybody else that was doing this. And yeah, it was not working for my hair. And this also was during the time I was not really uh, educated in understanding my hair. And so this is an example of people pleasing hair routines. So the truth behind this example is that being kind, it may mean that it doesn't always look perfect. And yeah, this is one of the things I have to remind myself. Like, of course, being natural, you don't want to look like crazy out in the streets and stuff, but you also want to prioritize the health of your hair as well. And so, yeah, another example just out of this is even with this hairstyle that I did, I didn't do any. I didn't put any gel in my hair. I didn't do it because I know in the past when I used to do gel and stuff for styles, it made my hair like extra itchy and just I wanted to wash it out immediately. So this is just a little bit of grease and water and just tying it up and stuff. So I know with the humidity and stuff outside, I'm not going to keep this style for too much longer because my hair is going to probably look frizzy eventually. And so just have to prioritize the health of your hair. And sometimes that style may not be exactly perfect the way you see it on other people, but at least you can say that you have healthy hair. My third point for you is scalp health versus aesthetic hair. So, an example of this is You see, you have a lot of flakes in your scalp, but instead of washing it and addressing the inflammation, you decide to use some oil and mask the flakes. You decide to cover those flakes using hair oil. Another example is you ignore the itching, the shedding, and the tenderness, all to keep that hairstyle. And so this goes with the last point, but the truth is you're not healing the root. And so you just, and I would say I did this as well. Like, to keep those hairstyles, you just get a pencil and or whatever, get a little comb or something and just address the itching like that instead of taking the hairstyle out. This isn't healing the root. And this, my friends, brings me to my last point, which is the emotional and spiritual layer. So, in these examples, when you're being nice to your hair, there's something that's going on at a deeper level. There's a fear of change. You know, you want to just do this thing to get that result, and you don't want to change because you don't know what that result would be, so you don't want to change up your routine. Another thing that's happening at a deeper level is that there's a little bit of fear of losing your identity. You've always done this way, so why change it up now? Why do it this way? Because you're still getting the results being this person, instead of looking into how to make your hair better, the scalp in your hair better. You decide to stay the same because that's just what you're used to doing. But let this be a reminder to you that the Lord has called us to be kind. And that was one of the main things that I saw in the scripture. He called us to be kind. And it's not only to others, but in order to be kind, show our kindness to other people, it's a reflection of ourselves. And so we have to be kind to ourselves as well. Not only what we say to ourselves, but how we treat ourselves, including our hair. And so what this looked like is that we have to we have to steward what he's given over our feelings. Sometimes it doesn't always feel nice to take care of our hair. Sometimes we can feel like lazy, like, oh, do I have to wash my hair again? Do I have to do this again? But don't take for granted what he has given you. So take the time to really pay attention to your hair, pay attention to what your hair is trying to communicate to you, and address those concerns in that moment. And as you continue to steward your hair the way the Lord has called you to, then He'll honor you with what you're trying to achieve: healthy, moisturized hair, long hair, all the good things when you steward His hair. So I pray that this has blessed you. Let me know in the comments which point kind of resonated with you, and we can have a discussion in the comments. So I will talk to you later. Make sure you share this with someone, and also subscribe to hear more faith and wellness tips. I'll talk to you later. Bye, beautiful.